Real quick, my entire channel demonetized because 1 minute Nico Arc video. If you like video, support on Patreon. If you or someone you know can help, here, email, enjoy video, or else. Undertale is a video game made by Toby Fox, and fun fact, you already know what it is. Come on, don't gaslight me, you succulent serpentine. We all know what Undertale is. We know the first few notes of Megalomania, we know this dog. But no matter how much you love Undertale, nor how much tutorial Rule 34, or for you homosexuals, sans Rule 34 you have saved in a folder, you may not know there is another Undertale. No, not deltarune. That is a deltarune. You absolute moron. I speak of a secret Undertale big RPG maker doesn't want you knowing about, kept hidden by generations of game theorists. This secret Undertale is called Undertale Yellow. That's right, finally, piss Undertale. No, Undertale Yellow is just a fan game. But while fan game gives you images of edgy sans ultra super duper hard mode, Undertale Yellow is a whole ass game. Perhaps an equal, if not more ass than the original Undertale. And trust me, I've seen a lot of Undertale ass. Following one of the previous humans that fell into the underground before Frisk. This is Clover, haver of the Yellow Soul, a ye whore who, as they explore, decide if they want to root, toot, or shoot the monsters of the underground. But unlike Frisk Undertale, Clover Yellow is not full of delicious yummy determination soup, which means they cannot save and load. Instead, you are joined by the most trustworthy sidekick, Flowey the Flower, who has a track record of being a good boy and telling only truths. Flowey acts as a save point throughout the game and gets genuinely annoyed when you don't accept his help. During your journey, you explore adjacent areas from the base game like Lower Snowdon or new areas entirely like Yeehaw Central, giving a fresh feeling to the Undertacular world. Now, I'm sure you can hear by the subtle inflections of my voice that I'm very fond of this game, but spoiling my video like an utter prick, the title and thumbnail may reveal that I have some criticisms. Yes, I have devastating news you may have not seen coming. Undertale Yellow's Genocide run is not quite as good as the hit game Undertale. Now, this video isn't a bashing of Undertale Yellow because, as I said, I really do like this game, and it's incredible what this ragtag team was able to accomplish. More so, it's an analyzation of when a creative tries to mimic another creative's work, trying to recapture the feeling that work gave them, and how when you focus on the feelings a work gives you, you can miss the building blocks and subtle details that are imperative to giving such a unique feeling. So, please don't cry, Undertale Yellow devs. This video is made with love, I promise. As a peace offering, I, Radshad, the Mad Lad, and to some of you, your dad, will first discuss a pile of things I enjoyed about this silly little game, which should hopefully entice you, the viewer, to play it for yourself. Or, if you enjoy filling your life with only negativity, I suppose you could skip forwards, but like, genuinely, what's your problem, man? As for my problem, it's working out a transition to actually get this video started for real. I worked out the transition to get this video started for real. I think the main thing Undertale Yellow has over the original Undertale is it packs so much life into its world. Toby Fox tried to make his enemies throughout the game mimic generic RPG encounters, like from Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest. This has the effect that I don't really remember any of the smaller monsters outside of like Timmy or Sundera Plane. But in Undertale Yellow, just look at these precious little creatures. They have such fun dialogue and personalities. Each one feels like a colourful character in of themselves. I will never forget Sir Sliver for as long as I live. The world itself also feels like it actually moves. I find myself wanting to backtrack after completing certain sections. NPCs react to your actions in the story, and new ones even appear to interact with, making the world feel so much less static compared to the original Undertale. When it comes to what Undertale did best, the main characters you interact with, Undertale Yellow lacked quite a bit in comparison, in my humble pie opinion. That being said, one stood out above the rest. Perhaps I would even go so far as to call them the best Undertale character ever. That's right, I have an announcement. I like women. This one specifically. Marley the bird is the perfect cinnamon roll. She is precious and adorable, and I want to protect her and her to protect me. Not only is she an absolute cutie patootie, she even joins you throughout your journey as your closest cuddly companion. Yet she's not overbearing, dipping out of the story tastefully when she's not needed. In very funny ways sometimes, such as being locked up for being too silly. Let my girl go, she ain't done nothing wrong. I thought this was Obama's America. Basically, she's best girl, better than your best girl, and you should feel bad that you considered having a best girl that wasn't Marley. Our hands were created for treasuring this bird. Now we're getting into my final compliment before I get to my anti-compliments, and this is the final barrier before I get into massive spoilers for the game. If what I have yapped about to this point has interested you, then this is your last chance to go play it for yourself. And I seriously do suggest you play the game. It is worth it, even if just purely for Marley. I fucking love her so much. Without further ado, spoilers in 3, 2, 1. The endings are quite impactful. Each ending, while not necessarily as thematically weighty as the original Undertale, serves us very intriguing scenarios to slot into the lore. The pacifist run is incredibly bittersweet, extra tragic since you know what's to come, since, you know, Undertale exists. As everyone tries to fight fate, Clover embracing it and giving Marley his hat, and you aren't crying, I'm crying. It's also funny how you can, despite this being a pacifist route, kill Soroba after beating her. The other characters even discuss your reasoning for why you'd choose to do that, and not necessarily saying you're bad for it. This route even gives you a unique ending, where you try to tussle with Asgore, but then get your shit beaten in. Now, I will leave discussing the Genocide ending for later, but the ending I finished last in my playthroughs was the neutral ending, which may have made it have the biggest impact on me out of all the three. You see, I spent all that time getting close to Marley, treasuring her with all my heart, so hearing her tell me, "You can live with me," made my heart burst at the seams, and coincidentally, so did Marley's heart burst at the seams. This world's fucked up, man. The fight with Flowey here, the build-up, the visuals, the sound design, the music, all of it serves to create an eerie, overwhelming experience. It really does feel like you're getting tortured by Flowey just for his sick amusement. It's also very funny that Flowey's integration into the story is because you suck so much fucking ass that you couldn't get your soul to Asgore so that the events of Undertale could start. And that even here, he'll keep resetting the story till you play the game properly and get the ending that he wants. Thus, to absolutely ruin this piece of shit's day, you can keep replaying the neutral route to piss him off more and more. But those are my big thumbs up for what I appreciate deeply about Undertale Yellow. This has been our pacifist route of the video. Now, we go into our genocide route, where I call Undertale Yellow. A bit not the best, actually, baby. The genocide run of Undertale masterfully makes you feel like a soulless killing machine, which is an impressive feat since in games like Grand Theft Auto, you are arguably more of a soulless killing machine while not really feeling like one. But Undertale makes you fear yourself, horrified by the actions you take out of mere curiosity. It plays on the expectation that a completionist player will try every path and every option, even if it goes against the nature of the piece or themselves as a person. This is even reflected in Flowey's speech before the Sans fight. He tried every path out, merely out of curiosity or boredom, both moral and evil. I've never felt dirtier as a player than when I played the Genocide run of Undertale. It is a unique feeling of being reviled at your own actions, and there are so many little ways this feeling is built up over your playthrough. Undertale Yellow's Genocide route wants a similar feeling of being horrified by your actions, yet it undermines this with several misplaced creative decisions. The two biggest problems being it's too insistent and focusing on enjoyable gameplay. But let's go over all of these decisions and the order you'll encounter them in your playthrough. Starting out guns blazing, with you going guns blazing into the ruins. In the original Undertale, you slay monster after monster, having to wait longer and longer between each kill as you dwindle down the pool, until suddenly, the first time you get the screen sends chills down your spine. You get so drawn into the monotony of grinding monsters that the sudden shift takes you completely off guard. Even the smaller font and empty battle screen makes you feel like you've done something wrong to the game itself. Like this wasn't an intended outcome in the coding. Even though the world doesn't visually change, the foreboding tune that now plays over the entire zone makes it feel barren and isolating. Already we can see a small yet undermining change Undertale Yellow makes as it tries to streamline the Genocide process. Undertale Yellow reduces the time it takes between each encounter significantly, and when you clear out a room, you get a cute little X to tell you that you're done exterminating. Yay! People have complained about how tedious the original Genocide run is, but it's a very purposeful decision on Toby Fox's part. It makes you have to go out of your way to be a horrible killing machine, to show you the lengths and suffering you'd cause just because you're curious about a route's outcome. The boredom even gives you time to reflect about why you're doing this, whether it's actually worth it. Meanwhile, in Undertale Yellow, I still felt engaged, even in this part of the run that should be more monotonous, which is antithetical to the feeling the Genocide run should be giving you. The next undermining decision is when you hit enemies. Their sprite changes to a sad hurt one, and they say tearful little lines like, "I don't want to die," and "I'm just 2 hours from retirement." This seems like it'd be a good way to make you feel bad for your actions, and I did when I first hurt the Precious Flyer and Perfect Penella. But in the long run, I think it emotionally weakens the effect of your actions. This links into the game's problem with insistence. You quickly become desensitized to this strategy since they keep trying to insist your harm with every single enemy. And instead of that sudden rug pull of "nobody came," the screen no longer takes you by surprise because you've already been beaten over the head with "you are an evil, icky, cringe baby" up to that point. Not to mention, when it comes to the last few encounters in a zone, it plays hype music, almost encouraging you before the finish line, which gives a strange "there we go" feeling when you wipe out a zone, as opposed to the original Undertale's "what have I done?" The next problem was one I noticed on my second playthrough, which is despite your actions and their horrible effect on the world, it still retains a lot of whimsy. While some puzzles are bypassed, there are quite a few you still have to do on a Genocide run. Likewise, while towns are mostly deserted, some people still stick around for some reason, including this shopkeeper who has no change in his gag about the broken glass. The original Undertale was great at showing how taking this path is you rejecting the happiness, whimsy, and hope of this world. Frisk actively disrespects any puzzle put in their way. Everywhere you go, monsters are hiding and running, begging you not to hurt their families. To the point seeing Monster Kids, someone still embodying the whimsy of the world despite it being lost everywhere else, makes you fear what Frisk will do to them. If Frisk rejects and destroys all other whimsy, what will happen to this goober? These globs of whimsy in Undertale Yellow makes you feel the weight of your actions less. It's harder to make a separation between the silly of a pacifist run and the horror of a Genocide run. Now for the most glaring undermining decision, within the most memorable moments of an Undertale game. The boss fights. Just for comparison, let me show you side by side the first hit on the first boss of each Genocide route. Did you catch that? Vlad the Inhaler here is still alive! In the original Undertale's Genocide route, every boss fight was an instant kill except for the exception of Undyne and Sans. On reflection, Sans does die in one hit, my bad for spreading false information. Undertale Yellow opts to have every single boss fight be a harder version with their own slightly altered hard mode music. Well, all except North Star. Alabozo. For epic Undertale gamers, this might be a bonus, giving you plenty of challenge to prove your worth, but I think this drastically undermines the intended emotions of a Genocide run. It's a gut punch with how quick the instant kills are. You aren't distracted by gameplay or able to lock in for a fight, you are immediately jumped to the consequences of your actions. It also shows how much you betray these characters you've grown to love. You didn't kill them by accident or as self-defense, you slaughtered them. Too much focus on gameplay can dampen emotional investment, since it will be overshadowed by the emotions of struggle and catharsis that challenge gives you. I think this is best illustrated by the two hardest bosses in Undertale's Genocide run, that being Sans and Papyrus. Because I'd argue Papyrus is actually one of the hardest bosses in this run. He is one of the most endearing and hope-filled characters in the game, and the one that players usually are the closest bonded to. So him saying he still believes in you, despite how much of a soulless villain you've become, how you reject his offers of puzzle and pasta, is just soul-crushing. This moment almost made me quit the run, and this is where people usually do stop. To show the effect gameplay can have on emotional investment, here is Jacksepticeye's reaction to killing Papyrus compared to him killing Undyne the Undying, a much more challenging fight.
There's no music! No! Yes! Oh, finally! Oh my god! Oh, I need a second. Oh! I'm supposed to be sad right now, aren't I, that I killed Undyne? Look at my fucking hands, man. And I know I should be a lot sadder right now, but because the battle took so long, and it was such like a hard battle to do.
As he said there, he's supposed to feel sad, but he isn't. That's because the catharsis of overcoming a challenge trumps the emotional devastation of the moment, something undiluted in the instant kill deaths. So in Undertale Yellow, the struggle of these harder fights can block the consequences of your actions in your mind. And it sucks because it could have been really effective in Undertale Yellow. I vividly remember thinking, if Marley dies instantly, I will stop playing the game. But not only did she not die in one hit, not only did she offer an annoyingly challenging fight, but she doesn't die at all. She flies away and pops back up through the story to be like, oh, stop being so mean. You won't get away with this, scallywag. That makes me, sound disappointed that she didn't die. But it's because she's a perfect goober, and I want to feel bad for hurting such a precious bird. But this having every boss be challenging in a Genocide run also undermines another important element, which is reflecting how powerful you are. The monsters of the Underground in the original are right to fear you. You hack and slash your way through with ease. Undertale Yellow also tries to insist upon your terrifying strength, but you never feel it in your gameplay because every fight feels like a crawl for Clover to get through. This gets especially ridiculous when one of the harder fights is a robot with a trash can lid. It's a very difficult fight, but then it treats it like it was always in your favor as you shoop de whoop this robot in half. There is a major disconnect between plot and gameplay here. And the final problem with the boss fights is after you defeat them, they yap so much. This is especially where the insistence problem rears its head. They tell you just how bad what you did was over and over again. If they cut some of these speeches just a line or two early, they'd be so much more impactful. Undertale was really good at working out what line to leave you with when you're dumped into silence to think over your life choices. Even the most judgmental character, Sans, doesn't make any moral display. He's already done that. He just uses the last moments of his life to go to Grillby's. To show this problem in action, here is Soroba's death in Undertale Yellow. Now, you might feel like that was legitimately impactful. That's because I cut the extra dialogue tacked onto the end. There's a lot of power around what line you finish on, so that the moment that you're left alone, the player feels the full weight of what they did. But those are the ways boss fights undermine the intended emotions of the Genocide run. But now we need to get into the most bossiest of boss fights, the penultimate moment of the Genocide route, of any route really, the final boss. Listen. I am #1 Silly Woman fan. We stan Jacko, we stan Taukaka, we stan Marley. But she should not be the final boss of Undertale Yellow's Genocide route. I mean, in terms of visuals, it's stellar. Jojo Poe's bird with Big Fist looks peak. And gameplay-wise, it's very hard. But Marley simply is not strong in the role of the final boss here. She takes a similar role to Papyrus, not just because she's from Snowden, is silly and makes puzzles, but also because she's the kindest soul who believes anyone can be a good person. And she's most like the character that players are the closest bonded to. So she'd be much stronger as the final emotional barrier for the player, similar to Papyrus. The hardest part being destroying her belief that even supposedly evil humans can still be friends. I mean, if I saw a hurt or crying Marley sprite in her first fight, I would have curled up in bed and been inconsolable. Understand what they're trying to go for? Your closest companion being the one to push back the hardest when you turn evil. A sweet pea getting juxtaposed to the gargantuan lengths that she'd go to stop you. But to fulfill this characterization, they have moments where she has doubts about the goodness of humans, which feels like they weaken her hopeful character built up in other runs. Not to mention, as stated before with making bosses harder, the fact she's so insanely difficult it makes me, #1 Marley fan, not get emotionally affected by our conflict and her death. She's horrifyingly melting away, and I'm here busy mashing the dodge key because I can't memorize these patterns for shit. I also think it gives more regular last boss vibes, which doesn't really give you that feeling that you're taking a disturbed path that deviates from regular RPGs. It feels like the RPG usual of fighting God, closer to Azrael Jamur than Sans Undertale. But it is important to highlight just how perfect of a final boss for the Genocide run he is. He's rather unimpressive looking, and his fight has no flair compared to Azrael or Flowey. This gives a unique, hard to describe feeling that something is off. In comparison, there is a lot of flair to Marley, and I know the developers of Undertale Yellow can craft a final boss that leaves you with a unique genre-defying feeling, because they did such a masterful job with Flowey. In my personal opinion, a stronger boss might have been Northstar. He has a whole arc that reveals he's not a strong person, but he's a strong leader. He plays the hero so that others feel safer. I could see him feeling horrible that he's too weak to defend everyone, so he uses experimental determination drug to push his body beyond its limit. He may be weak normally, but his will is what makes him strong. It also ties thematically into the game, both of you being ye whores, both wanting to get justice for what the other person did to your people. A true final showdown, a monster-exican standoff. But speaking about justice, we get to the ending of the Genocide run, and the aspect I actually quite like about it. First, something just tickles me about Asgore getting absolutely disintegrated. It is very over the top, but it's just so funny. But in this run, after clearing everything in your way, you simply leave the underground. No snap creating Kara, no scary jump scare, you just fuck off. I find it very interesting that the Genocide run of Undertale Yellow isn't about simply claiming power or being a despicable me. It almost gives a logical reason for why Clover would do this route. It's implied Clover is in the underground searching after the previous humans who went missing. So in this run, they see monsters as simply monsters. Things that are in the way of them leaving and that you need to impart revenge upon. This is reflected even in the fact when you go down this path, your eyes are covered by your hat. You don't see anyone here as people. They are problems.
Always!
You even let those that stay out of your way survive. But by the end, you basically become an avatar of justice. It gave me chills on my second playthrough when I noticed the flavored text during the final fight say things like closure or home. You are purely focused on your goal, not caring for what's in your way. And heck, you are fighting fate in this playthrough. Despite it being the ending that causes the most suffering, for Clover, they escape and live, while the other two endings result in Clover's torture or death. I don't think it makes Clover's actions in this run justifiable, but it's very interesting to see why a character would take this path. It doesn't interrogate the player's actions quite like the original Undertale does, but I feel like it's doing something very different. It puts you in the shoes of Clover, and no matter which path you take, there is a reason why Clover would make those decisions. I think they should have explored this conundrum and characterization further in the Genocide run, because the original Undertale's Genocide run made a lot of creative decisions to reinforce the idea of judgment on you as a player, and those decisions get very confused when mixed in with what Undertale Yellow is going for here. But yes, while I made scathing critiques, I still love this game through and through, even this Genocide route. There is clearly so much passion in this game, and so much love for the original Undertale, that these are fickle gripes. But they do at least give us a lens to appreciate the original Undertale that much more. And if you watched despite not playing the game like you usually do, you lazy piece of piss, I seriously implore you to still go and play it for yourself. And I humbly request you flood my Twitter, Blue Sky, and Discord with Marley pictures right now. Right fucking now!